Today on Gamer's Couch,
Tokaido, the collector's edition.
Hello.
Hello.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to the couch. It's
Sunday.
board game time.
It's couch time, but not for long. We will be off traveling soon.
I know.
To the hot
They
springs.
know as well. Oh, to the hot springs? I didn't know that your parents lived at a hot springs. But that's awesome, I think.
No, I'm talking about the game.
Oh, no, because I said in the vlog that we're shooting Gamer's Couch today and then having
You're not prepared.
Dinner
This is Gamer's
with your-
Couch.
early, 5 hours of sleep. I mean, brain somewhere there outside the house. Where was I? Oh yeah, he again, even on the B couch, he interrupts my intros. Again. My name is Sarah. I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, owner of this channel, and this interrupting and still very lovely creature next to me is my dear husband, Daniel, who's just as board game nerdy as I am. So we enjoy an hour or two at the couch every week and talk board games with you. We share. And today it's...
And we say an hour. We actually try not to make this an hour every time, but for some reason it always ends up
we have
being an hour.
opinions. We have opinions.
And we repeat ourselves, but lucky for you, there's a time bar where you can just skip stuff like me or her or the duck or whatever you want to skip.
You don't want to skip.
No?
No, you don't want to skip because we sometimes have funny mishaps or other things in your part as well that might be
Important.
funny for you to watch. I don't know. But anyway.
Let's get this on the show on the road.
In the description box, there is a timestamp for the 3 different sections. First, him talking about rules and gameplay. Then we talk about what we liked or not liked and tell you a bit about funny stories and experiences. And now, you don't laugh at me. Now you can tell us about Tokaido.
Now?
Now.
Okay.
Collect your thoughts and tell us.
I hope you brought your boots that were made for walking. This is probably the first out of many bad puns that will happen during this game, because you will be traveling. In fact, you will be traveling from Kyoto to Edo in medieval times, because otherwise it probably would have been called to Tokyo. And the objective of this game, unlike many other games, is not to be the first or to be the most badass when trying to get past the road, the Tokaido road. It is about how rich can you make this journey and how can you arrange things so that you see as much as possible, buy as many souvenirs as possible, use every hot spring that is not in use by someone else, and arrive at the end with the most bragging rights of doing, I did this right. I went on this road and I
Had the best vacation.
my vacation
sucked.
was damn better than yours.
Yours sucked. Mine was awesome.
Pretty much like that. That sounds like our vacation. So, at its heart, Tokaido is more of a set collection game where you try to, collect sets of different activities you can do along the road. The trick is you can only ever so travel forward, but not travel backward, because, you try to get from A to B, or in this case to B being Edo, or the other way around, because you can actually travel back as well. So if my assistant is now trying to lift up the
Very small game board.
the very small game board, and this is now where we have the widescreen camera. And just right away, this is the Kickstarter Collector's Edition, so there might be some pieces in here that you... I'm aware that there's a Collector's Edition out there. I'm not entirely sure what exactly is different between those, so if I show something and you don't find that in the regular Collector's Edition, and you don't happen to have this, and this is, I think, the Samurai whatever edition, the one that came with painted minis, because we did not own this game, and if you have ever watched one of our videos, you know that someone here likes the designer of this game, not personally, but through his gameplay mechanics and stuff. When I thought we have to pick up Tokaido at one point, that was exactly at the time when they announced the Kickstarter, so we went all in with this big one. So, this is the game board. You will start there.
My spot, somewhere here.
You will end up here, somewhere. Here. There.
Everywhere.
And as you may be able to tell, there's different stations along the way. You usually just have one station per spot, except for these inns where every mandatory has to stop once you get there, kind of to catch up and ridicule all the other travelers for the stuff they did not see, or the things that you did see. And usually you only have one spot at each location, so if you're standing there, no other player may go there unless you're playing with 4 or more players, where secondary spots open up and give you a little bit more possibilities, but not really that much. It's about who comes first, gets served first at a specific location. So let's fold this together to be a little bit more comfortable holding this to explain what the locations are. Pretty much between 2 inns there's the same, I think it's the same amount of locations. I might be, actually I never took a look there, and certainly in a different configuration.
So unprepared. He's so unprofessional.
This is super professional. Quiet. I'm going to send you on a trip by foot.
By foot or with food?
Neither. You have to stop at inns and buy very expensive meals, because I bought the cheap ones, because the burgers were cheaper.
But they're not as healthy.
Let's try this again. And just as a precaution, this board already shows some stuff from the 2 expansions that came with it. Let's start easy off with the base game first. So you will travel along this path, as I said, and you may stop at any of those points. The thing is, you can't travel back, and it's always the player who is last on this road who gets to move first. And obviously you cannot stop at spaces where other people are already, or at least where these little dots are taken. The different places you can go to are the souvenir shop, that allows you to draw 3 cards of this souvenir deck, and you get to buy one of those souvenirs if you want to. Yes, thank you. These souvenir cards come in 4 different types, and the type is actually the icon at the bottom here. And you try to collect, well, surprise, surprise, a set of souvenir types. So the first souvenir you buy in a set brings you 1 victory point. The second different type in this would bring you 3 victory points, and then 5, and then 7. And if you have 2 of the same type, you just start another set and try to get things on the road that way.
I'm your assistant. I'm holding.
I'd like to hold this and be able to point at stuff. Thank you. But you can
You
hold...
can point, I can hold.
You can...
I can hold the Klappe, which is your German lesson of the day.
You can also go to the temple and donate money, up to 3 coins, and the temple is actually the space up here. And for each coin that you donate here, you get a victory point. at the end of the game, he who has donated the most gets 10 victory points, and then second place gets 7 victory points, and then 4, and then 2. So it might actually be a fair gamble to go in, just spend 1 coin if none of the other players are spending any money on that. That's very easily made victory points there. You also have the opportunity to meet people and possibly talk to them. These so-called encounter cards are what you're getting. So these...
You want me to hold again?
No, it's fine. These essentially the encounter cards do pretty much the same as all the other locations, but they're, well, random. So some might give you money, some might give you a random souvenir card, and so on. Then we have actually 3 different panoramas. There's this valley grass thing here, the mountain thing there, and the seaside over there, which all result in you getting one of these panorama cards. The first card you get is worth 1 victory point. The next time you stop at that space, you get the next card in the panorama, which is worth 2 points. And then once more, if you stop there, you get the next one, which is worth 3 points until you have fully formed the panorama, and then that's it. You can only have 1 set of each panorama in the entire game. But it's actually unlikely that you will manage to get all 3 panoramas unless the other players are not really paying attention to what you're doing. We still have 2 more to go. There's the Hot Springs, which is also a card you draw, and that is either worth 3 or 2 victory points at random. And last but not least, the farm, which is actually, the farm has nothing to do with a glorious vacation. You go to a farm because you probably ran out of money and figured out, crap, I need to go and wash dishes or something like that. Well, maybe not on a farm, but you have to work to get money. These are in the game actually real metal coins, which are pretty cool. So I don't think you can actually pay with them. I'd be surprised if you could, but it's nice to have a real set of coins in there. So you travel along these, you decide where to stop, and as I said, he who is last on the road gets to move first. You have to jump over other people, and basically what you're doing is to decide, do you want to jump a little bit further ahead and go to a space you really want to go to that maximizes the points you might be getting, or do you want to stay pretty close to the leader here just to be able to use as many spaces as possible. Obviously, depending on what kind of set you want to get, the panoramas or the souvenirs, or do you want to spend a lot of money at the temple? And actually, the money spent at the temple is the only way to turn money into victory points. At the end of the game, this is not about amassing riches. This is about having a rich travel and to take the path less traveled, I guess.
Ding,
ding, ding, and we're just one thing after another. So eventually you'll end up at these inns here, and you actually have to stop at the inn because you're getting hungry and you have to wait for all the other travelers to catch up. While doing so, the first player to arrive draws the amount of players at the table plus 1. So if you're playing with 4, you would draw 5 cards.
I'm yawning like hell here. Not because you're not boring me, but because...
So rude.
5 hours of sleep are catching up with me.
The advantage of being the first to draw these cards is that you can select which meal you want to have. Now, the caveat here is you may not have the same meal twice across the entire journey. Each meal is worth 6 victory points, but they cost also a different amount of coins. And if you can't pay, well, you're going hungry for the next step, and you just don't get the 6 victory points, which is, you will survive, but
it sucks.
It's 6 victory points that you're missing. So, well,
Just
there you go.
Yeah.
One thing that is also quite interesting is that at the beginning of the game, you get to select who your traveler is. And the game comes with a full set of a lot of travelers. So while this is probably the Kickstarter exclusive one, this is Antoine. And each traveler actually has a special ability. In this case, Antoine starts with 8 coins. And his special ability is that whenever there is a tie, he gets the advantage, which is pretty cool if you think about stuff like the temple donating money. At the end of the game, you also get achievement cards. There's 3 achievement cards you get during the game, which are where he who completes the specific panorama first gets those. These are, if my fingers aren't on them, are all worth 3 victory points each. And the other victory cards are awarded at the end of the game and award just who has met the most travelers, who has been the most crumbled up in hot springs, who has eaten the most different meals. Well, actually, this is who has spent the most money on meals. And this is for who has the most souvenir cards to go for that, which alters the score a little bit at the end of the game, in addition to the score you get for the temple donations, but that's pretty much it. So Antoine is pretty cool doing that. I also like that he brings the little Takanoko
Pan.
I really dislike him. He just keeps on eating my bamboo. I'm not a fan of the little panda.
I like him.
And obviously this is with minis and painted minis, so this is like the super duper deluxe edition, but there's a lot of travelers available. Some of them come with the 2 expansions and have special abilities related to those expansions, and we'll get into this in a minute, but there's a good variety of different things that travelers can do. Some get extra points for visiting specific fields, so there is one that gets a coin and a victory point each time he meets other people and talks to them in an encounter. There's not one that gets an extra point for yawning, which
so
is why
sorry.
Sarah is losing.
I'm so sorry. I'm really trying not to. I'm goddamn tired.
Drink your coffee.
This is my 4th or 5th this morning. And still, just... I'm really trying. I'm so sorry for yawning, but yeah.
Well, so there's a pretty rich variety of travelers in there.
You sound like a panda.
I'm not sure if this is part of the Kickstarter edition or in every collector's edition. So this comes with a couple of extra travelers like Eriku, Antoine, and Naeda. I'm very bad at this pronunciation, but these guys are kind of the 3 extra guys in there, and the rest is related to the expansions. At the end of the game, he who is the furthest at the victory point track wins the game, and that's it. It's not terribly complicated. It's still aggravating, despite being a very relaxing journey that other people are taking away your meals or buying souvenirs where you wanted to buy a souvenir, and then they ruin the panorama scene which you wanted to take a picture of, but unfortunately they're already standing in the scene and then it's ruined, so you have to go to the next one.
They run through your camera lens kind of a shoot with their enormous bottoms when you want to take a photo.
All the travelers you can play come with these little actually pretty thick cardboard plates that just illustrate what they look like and what their special abilities is. We found that once you get a hang of the icons, you know what they mean, but we still probably have to look up those special abilities each time, simply because there's so many travelers in here, and that's actually not that bad of the thing. But the downside of that is you essentially, if you're playing with the expansions, the game comes with 3 manuals. So you have the base manual that will explain what I just explained to you, and then there's the Crossroads expansion, and that comes with its own manual, and the Matsuri expansion that also comes with its own manual. And a little bit unfortunate is that, the different travelers are described in its separate manuals. So sometimes if you don't exactly, and those travelers aren't marked in some way, or at least I'm too blind to find it if there is, you have to kind of search a little bit until you find who it is, and then you found out that it's actually one of these guys here, and then you that could have been an experience thing, I guess. So let's talk about the expansions. There's the Crossroads expansion, which adds new travelers, but it kind of doubled the game, because, may I please, once more, if you paid attention, you saw that up here there's actually 2 spaces for cards to be placed per action, and that is not because one is there to discard old cards. It is actually there for the expansion, because the Crossroads expansion adds a new option for pretty much every action that you can do. So if you're going to buy souvenirs, you can now decide if you want to draw 3 souvenir cards or buy one of these really rare souvenirs. And for these, you can just choose which to buy. They're all, well, not terribly expensive, but they're very specific in their use. So, for example, this Imaki thing doesn't count as a set item for your souvenirs, but it adds an additional victory point for each souvenir card that you have. Then there's the Murasame, so if you want to kill a Wolverine, that's a pretty good start, but you can just buy it for 8 victory points. There's this Emma, which is in fact a new type of souvenir. So this enables you to get up to 5 souvenirs per set, and this, as the 5th, is worth 9 points, and so on. You can go to the hot springs, and then instead of taking the normal hot springs, which are worth 2 or 3 victory points, you can buy this one for 1 coin, which is worth 4 victory points. And all of these extra cards still count as the regular cards in regards to the bonus achievement points that you're getting at the end. So you would count these 4 victory points cards plus the other ones that you have to decide who has the most hot springs experience. Then instead of meeting other people and traveling with them, you can buy these. I'm not sure, these scrolls.
They calligraphy.
So these scrolls add some additional victory point conditions, mostly revolving around the end of the game. So this one gives you 2 victory points for every remaining coin that you still have. Then this one gives you victory points for every completed accomplishment, and 1 for each of these cards that you have. This one gives you victory points if you're the last to arrive at the last inn. So just giving you additional options. And again, you choose to buy one of these cards instead of meeting someone, and you get to select which of these cards you want to have. So you can also try to deny other people that. Instead of donating money to the temple, you can go and buy this fortune card thing. Amulet, yes. Which acts as a kind of one-time event card that you can keep playing or rebuying if you want to. So this one says, stop on a single space that is occupied by another traveler as if it was a double space. So you can just use a space that someone else is using. Once you play that amulet, it goes back into the stack. So you can, as I said, rebuy it every time you land on the temple space. And I think that's... Oh, I forgot the...
cherry tree.
The cherry tree. So the alternative to picking up the next highest value in the panorama place that you stopped at is you can make a picture of a cherry tree. Those are always in fashion and therefore will always give you 1 coin and 2 victory points. But there's no panorama going on in here. So that's that. The special abilities of the travelers are all kind of revolving around those new actions in there. Some say, for example, you get an amulet for free. You don't have to pay for it, or some other things that are kind of related to that. So, in fact, if you want to play with the Travelers of the expansion, you kind of have to play with the expansion. So that you can't just most of them you can't just use in a base game without actually using the additional actions from the expansion. But don't worry, because there's one more expansion to go, and in fact that expansion also requires you to use the first expansion. So the second one is called Matsuri, and it adds the Matsuri festival. I think it's supposed to be a festival or an event that happens every time you stop at one of the intermediary inns. The way that works is that the player who arrives there first draws 2 of these Matsuri cards and gets to select what happens. And these will have an effect for the next turn, or some of them actually have an immediate effect right away. So some may say you get coins, or you get extra victory points for donations you make. Others say that you get a little victory point doll icon if you're playing a female player, or something similar for male players. So these just spice up a little bit what's going on. And again, the Matsuri expansion comes with an extra set of travelers that are again related to this. And I just realized that I forgot one new action from the Crossroads expansion, which is
me too.
Which is probably the reason for that is probably because I haven't used that much, and because it doesn't come with a card. The missing culprit is if you go to one of the farms, instead of taking 3 coins, you can bet 2 of your coins and roll this die, and then depending on the result you kind of bet that money, and you could lose it if you roll the X, or you get it back if you roll the ×1, or you make a huge profit by rolling the ×4. So it's actually the gambling action that allows you to get more money a little bit quicker instead of the guaranteed 3 coins. That even I would let that slip as a vacation activity, the gambling thing. I mean, of course, people
travel to Vegas or stuff like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, also, if I have ever to travel there, it's probably because of work and a convention or something like that. And I think
you just have to say for how many players this game is and the age, and then
I don't have to say that.
It's part of your section.
All right. It's for 2 to 5 players with a little rule variation. If you're playing with 4 or more players, as I said, you start using the secondary fields spots on the board as well. Because otherwise it would get really crowded, and you almost would go from inn to inn, I would assume.
I'm sorry. We should have a yawning tracker on my side and a pun tracker on your side. This is really horrible today. I'm sorry.
Let's make a concerned face. 2 to 5 players. Actually, I'm.
You're blanking on the age.
I think it's 8 and up. It doesn't say.
You have the manual.
I think it's on the box.
You have Emmanuel.
It's 8 and up. I was right, and this also gave me the chance to look at how long does it take you to play 1 turn.
You made it like that. You purposefully forgot.
It's 45 minutes.
Yeah, that
do that.
seems accurate.
One thing that came with this special edition, which is pretty nice, is a CD of very soothing Japanese background music. I think there's about 30 tracks. They're very short. They're like 2 or 3 minutes. Varied. It is very unintrusive background music, which is nice. And there's not that many games that come with music attached to it. And since this is supposed to be a serene, enjoyable experience for the whole family traveling, while trying not to murder the one who has taken the spot, this acts as a very, very helpful tool at the table to calm the rage that might come up when someone is blocking you when you try to get that last panorama piece.
Well done.
Yeah, I will hold up some of the minis that are in here. Again, this is comes with the painted minis. There was, I think, an unpainted edition as well, and they're really, really nice. Do you see? I'm going to preach to you. Yeah, I will keep on holding them up while Sarah tries to yawn to you her impressions, likes and dislikes.
I'm so sorry. I know this is horrible. This is horrible. I know, but I can't help it. I'm not doing this on purpose. This is really horrible. Like from the... now I eat my hair.
Everything is terrible. Maybe you should go on a vacation.
I will in November.
And walk 500 kilometers.
Is the hotel that big?
No.
See? Not happening. But now my skin's... I'm really annoyed today. This is not going well. But anyways, let me share my thoughts on this game. What I like, what I don't like. Well, for one, there's very, very likely very many things that I like because it's made by my favorite board game designer and he hasn't disappointed me yet. Which means I do love this game as well. Just like the other games that we played made by Antoine. So this is what I would call a very solid family game. It's though you really fight for the spots on the board, this is not aggressive. You still have this traveling kind of a serene feel while you move forward because there's just one direction you go, which is from A to B or B to A, depending. But the only thing you choose is at what spot to stop along the way. There's no thoughts like, do I go left, do I go right? It's just, am I gonna stop here or there? Is it my turn or not? So it's very calm, very tactical, very thinky, but it's not aggressive while you play. I do like the different things that you can do at this different kinds of stops a lot. The one that I like the least is the temple. I do like it more, however, with the amulet expansion thing, crossroads going on. But in the base game, I'm not too fond of the temple. However, I do love the panoramas and the encounters with other people traveling. So that's kind of cool. I think I just like the jigsaw puzzly kind of thing that comes with the panoramas. I do. It's so hard to keep it straight.
Please.
Yeah. You're so not distracting me. With the Matsuri expansion, I do like those event cards that you draw in the intermediate inns. It does actually, though it doesn't feel like you can change the end results of the game a lot. You actually can, and it's by such simple things as the people that play female characters get a doll token. It's super simple, but it really does change things up. So I like the expansion. I like the cards there. The travelers are well, I wouldn't say that I like the Travelers of one expansion more than the base game. They're all pretty nice. They're all very, very different. So I like them all equally, I'd say. What I do especially like with this game is the artwork. Again, this is a gorgeous game. It very much reminds me of Takenoko when it comes to the art style, the line work, the coloring, stuff like that. It really reminds me of Takenoko, and I mean, it plays in Japan as well. It's by the same designer, probably. I don't remember. Let me see. Takenoko, does it say the artist on top? Can you read up there? Can you read the artist? Is it the same? I don't remember.
Now I have to get up. This is
Now you see
this is one of the incredible and well-working recordings where the artist behind that is called Antoine Boza.
He's the designer, but who's the artist?
Is
it the same designer? Because the line work is very, very similar to Takenoko.
If it is,
Anyway, it just reminded me.
I need to check the manual. Maybe it says here.
Yes, do so. It just reminded me of Takenoko, which I like when you have games done by the same designer that feel like they're in the same universe as others, but play totally different, just by having kind of the same art style there. So I liked that a lot. There's one thing I find irritating. I might have to just get used to it.
The answer, it is inconclusive, because I'm not sure if the artist credited for the illustration in Takenoko in Tokaido is that guy, and in Takenoko it's multiple people. I'm not sure if one of them is that, but is using the another name. I would go safe and say no.
Okay, because it just feels very similar with the art style. There's one thing, like I just started saying, that I find irritating with this game, but I think I just have to get used to it. It's a very minor thing, but it's the victory point counter. You go up and down, and for whatever reason, not only my brain, but other players' brain also had trouble to then count, because they're so used to just move forward. So you kind of maybe skip the odd numbers or the even numbers until you realize, hold on, no, this is not right. And then you have to recount victory points at the end of the game. We always made sure we counted one more time at the end of the game, just to make sure we didn't screw up while moving along the track. But I guess you just have to get used to it. It's if you play a lot of board games and you're used to the one row track around the board, it just screws with you. It's irritating for the first couple of games, I think. But yeah, other than that, it's a very, very lovely game, very enjoyable. And the Kickstarter Collector's Edition is eye candy, I have to say. I really like the little details they put in there that I expect not to be in the normal, not collector's edition of this game. And now, my sweetheart.
No, you have to keep on talking.
No.
I'm still not done showing cards.
I have to yawn now.
Let me at least show them one or two of the completed panoramas, which.
But just because you ask so nicely.
Someone did a terrible job at sorting these.
I don't know who did.
You.
No.
I wasn't the one supposed to sort these last time.
Me neither.
Someone did a terrible job. Someone has to be responsible. That is not me.
No, I was responsible for the encounters and the hot springs.
That's all excuses.
I was giving you the panorama cards and you stacked them in the box.
In fact, these are even worse because these are from different sets. Okay, I'm good now.
Finally!
Now, of course, I intuitively picked the one with the 5 cards because that's
You
the
need
most,
hands? I do have two.
The most difficult to hold. Please hold these 2. 3, 4, 5. So this is what the 5-card panorama. Please, a little bit closer. This is what the 5-card panorama set looks like.
Oh, by the way, I just forgot. How do you know I like a game? If it inspires me to do artwork on the Tiny Tuesday, which I just did on Tuesday this week. The painting was inspired by Tokaido, so I guess I liked it. And now you can talk.
But I'm still showing cards.
Well, then do both. You can be distracted as well by yourself. It does not always have to be me who's distracted by you.
Keep on talking. I'm almost through all. No, it's fine. I too very much like this game, and it was totally worth picking up the collector's edition. I mean, of course, there's probably some bias in there.
How's that?
In terms of buyer's bias, but I was still very surprised and impressed of actually the stuff that is not so much inherent to the game, but the minis are really nice. They have a very high amount of detail work on them. I've seen some people had trouble with their shipments. Ours, fortunately, was pretty much perfect. There was nothing I could see that was terrible at anything about this. As you said, the artwork is the thing that kind of makes the theme ooze out of this by making you really feel being on a trip through Japan by having all those panoramas, meeting these funny people. And maybe it's because of Animu or other things, but some of the guys that you can play or meet just remind me of One Piece characters for some reason. It's not the same art style, but there's some weird people in there that look funny, and I like that. It's like different characters looking funny, having different abilities, even if they didn't eat some devil fruits. But I can live with that. It's just about traveling. It's not about pirates punching each other. Don't punch me, woman. Oh no, we have our own pirate.
Yeah, so it was him. It was me.
I just remembered. It is simple enough to easily teach to other people. It's I think very a very good family game, as you said. Specifically because it comes with the expansions, you can kind of ramp up the difficulty if the base game is a bit too base-ish, too easy for you. The expansions, specifically the Crossroads expansions, just immediately doubles the amount of stuff that's going on in the game, which is really nice. And it's. I actually tried to win by just going forward and just saying, I try to get as many stops in there as possible, and that
Was
didn't.
that the round that it worked or did not
That
work?
didn't turn out that well for me. So there is some strategy and some thinkiness to it. If where you want to go for, you really want to maximize what you can do with. The spots available to you, and yes, it gets a little bit competitive. But then you hear the soothing music and have to remind yourself of
Sushi.
to calmly strangle the other players.
Nice. I did not expect that. That's very slow, like molding.
Yes.
I don't know.
If regarding the expansions, I very much prefer the Crossroads expansion over the Matsuri thing. I think the event stuff is nice, but just the amount of content, there's no way to argue about that.
It could have
double-
very well been one expansion, both of those together. Did you feel like that would have been too much? Because
I think they were released as individual expansions.
but
some
I
time.
mean, the Matsuri expansion has a lot of new travelers, but only one other thing, which is the token / the card. So it could actually be one expansion with a Crossroads.
I can see why they did that, especially because the Matsuri expansion requires the Crossroads expansion there, and it probably would have gotten too crowded in terms of
Too many
things to
things.
juggle
Okay.
across how you can make points. By the way, that said, even with Crossroads, or even if you have a lot of possibilities, there's actually never a point where you're not able to determine who has how many victory points, or at least you could take a look at that. We didn't do that because it would probably even more slow down the game, but even the victory tracker gives you a good idea who's ahead or who's not ahead, mostly because he or she who is ahead is ahead. So this game is really more about optimizing your play rather than keeping things secret, and then at the end of the game, haha, and here I win because I have this win condition. However, I still like the calligraphy, the script cards from Crossroads, because they add a little bit of that uncertainty to the game, where you theoretically, again, could count all the things through and have a very good idea who's in the lead and who's not.
But nobody does that because you actually want to play.
I like that small bit of tension at the end of the game.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, it's looking good for me, but that's not a guarantee that I actually won this game. It could be that someone else still catches up enough to do that. And then if you don't have the bullseye, you are screwed if you're on the same spot. Another thing I really like about this game is the vast variation of travelers. I said it one or more than often than not. I like the kind of drafting aspect, and there's so many travelers in here that you, as the rules suggest, you can just hand out 2 or 3 travelers at the beginning of the game and say pick one of those, and you could have quite a few games without repeating the travelers you got or you chose to play, and all feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
They all make you use the different opportunities on the board in a different way, and kind of have you experience the game in a different way. So there's we certainly haven't played it enough, and I actually didn't even try to look up some kind of if there's a winning strategy, but I would assume that this game is balanced enough to not have that. But these different travelers all kind of then force you into trying things out that you maybe wouldn't have tried otherwise. So, as you said, you don't like the temple thing,
No,
but then again,
not with the base game. With the expansion now with the Crossroads, I like that.
But with that, if you would get a traveler that has a preferred action for the temple, you would still go there and use it.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite spot with the base game. With the amulets now on the expansions, it's way different. I like it way more.
And if I wouldn't be, or if I would be less lazy, I would go so far to say that this game could motivate me to even consider looking up. Actually, I did look up if there's if you can book a travel that kind of goes that road. I think the idea is interesting. We probably will never do that. As I said, we are lazy. You see, yawning
efficient.
is
I call it efficient or economical.
Walking.
I'm sorry. I got to bed at 5:30 this morning. I was the one who had to stand up again at 9:30 because delivery. And so
you had to go to bed.
Yeah, because Marvel was done. I finished Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2. But yeah.
Priorities.
Yes, of course. Sleep is overrated. You can sleep while shooting Gamers Couch, can't you?
Well,
no, you can. I will, once this video is edited, I will have a nap before we meet up with your parents.
It's a game. It's okay.
Don't snore again. I came to bed and you were snoring. So we're not
Important details about Tokaido.
Yeah, we're not gonna take a 500-kilometer travel if you're snoring every night, and I will not so serenely and quietly kill you then. So back to Tokaido. I will maybe take the music.
All in all, I mentioned it, but I would recommend this very much. Again, as a family game, it seems that pretty much everything that Antoine is putting out is a very viable family game that has still enough of tactical or strategic finesse in there to still be enticing even for players who play a lot of games or who want a little bit of thinkiness in their games. And it's really a little bit of spice to the let's have a nice afternoon experience with wonderful artwork and wonderful music and wonderful murders. And sometimes
for a second there I thought you said merches, like merchandise buying, but then I thought no, that's not what you would say. It's murders.
Side note, neither do we or the game in any way or form try to entice murdering other players at the table, unless they're winning. So
I should have murdered you a couple of times then.
No, okay. I'm just talking about my experience.
Oh.
Because we're now sliding into...
We're gonna rate before we slide.
I wanted to make a very smooth segue transition.
Yes, but we're gonna rate... And then we'll slide.
I think this is very difficult for you to guess what we're...
did you hear that?
What we will be
1, 2, 3. Double thumbs up.
4 thumbs up.
And now we're sliding. Slide, my dear.
Into...
Funny stories and experiences, and that was a weird note.
This was the couch, I assure you.
Otherwise, we were not farting.
There would be a very hard cut here, and we would be back on another day.
Yes,
or not.
With a gas mask or something. The murders of Tokaido. Sushi fart. No. Experiences. So we played this game with 3 players.
Couple of times we played base game and Crossroads and Matsuri
and
pretty much back to back because it seems that this is a well-liked game. So
somebody was fangirling and it wasn't me at this point.
We also played this traveling back and there and back again, kind of doing the Bilbo Baggins thing of Tokaido.
In Japan. No, Tina was really fangirling.
Bilbo's son.
Bilbo's son, yes. So Tina's son was really fangirling with this game. I mean, she likes Japan, so we played...
Actually, I'm not sure if son is...
It's for both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Japanese, something I have no idea about, so...
Well, I learned that when back in the day when we worked at the same company and I took care of marketing in Japan and emailing back and forth with those guys.
My knowledge of Japanese language is very spotty. I know that
I can say sushi.
there's sun, and I know that the even more honorable thing would be summer, but
we're not honorable.
yeah. Also, I don't honor a lot of great many things, so I'm fine with sun.
I learned that sun is also for girls from back in the day when I was working at the company and emailed with my Japanese guides back and forth. They always called me Sarah Sun, so it's also for girls.
Well, did they know that you were a girl?
Yes, because we met in person as well.
Okay.
So, or on the phone, they heard my voice.
Really?
I don't have this testosterone voice.
Oh.
Even if I am Bonnie Tyler, like I say I do have Bonnie Tyler voice when I'm having a sore throat, because then I really have, I don't know, I sound like a bottle of whiskey and a packet of smokes. But even then, I think I do have quite the girl voice, so they knew I was female. Anyway, so we were at the fangirling. Now I remember the tangent here. I really, we played it a couple of times back to back because, Tina is a fan of Japan and
Anime.
That too, history and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So she was really fangirling, even more than I was in the beginning, but not because I thought, I'm skeptical. No. But I kind of knew what to expect, and I wasn't disappointed. Like I said, it's a very cool game. So I didn't fangirl that much in the beginning.
Even though we hadn't played this before or on this, we at least saw what's going ahead. I think we both of us watched the tabletop episode.
Yes, we did. We watched it together.
That's kind of also what led to buying the collector's edition right away.
Yes.
And I still think it's well worth it.
Yeah, and what I liked, the first game, as usual, Daniel wins, because yes, you did.
Did I really win the first game? I thought I only won the last game we played.
No, Tina won the two in between. No, she won one in between. I won one in between. 1-1, and you won the last. So 4 games. First, second Tina, third me, and then fourth again him.
Yeah,
he was really good with drawing.
Figure out stuff.
Things
to win.
Yeah, but I just find that the cutest thing ever, and we didn't say it.
Components.
You put these little colored thingies underneath your minis so that you know what your dude looks like when he's on the board. So that's very cute. But what I like a lot, the counter for your victory points is a little packet. There's the lens.
A little blurry packet.
Yeah, it's very cute. Yeah. It's a travel bag.
If you don't go with the minis of the actual travelers, you still have these wooden meeples in here for travelers. You could also use them to count victory points.
Yeah, and what also was really nice when playing is looking at the colors, especially. I mean, I'm a color person. I'm a painter, for God's sakes. I'm a color person. But what I liked a lot while playing, not so much in the box, but while playing, is that the colors
outside. The
colors for your dude, for your players, are not yellow, red, green, blue, as they are with so many games, but gray, yellow, turquoise, green, and purple, which reminded me a bit of the Five Tribes game, where you have non-traditional board game colors as well.
It's also the same color palette as in Takenoko. Maybe even if it is not the same illustrator, the reason that this is using the same color palette is very, very similar.
Yeah, Yeah.
And I don't know if they made it afterwards, but there's a Matsuri card in here that has artwork from Hanabi.
Yeah.
In there, or at least it looked very familiar. But
It's also called Hanabi. So
well, Hanabi means fireworks. So
yeah, but the card looks very much like the board game box
because it shows fireworks, and then the Japanese word for fireworks is Hanabi.
Yeah, but it's exactly positioned like it is on the box that we have. It's not a different artwork.
It could be that I'm misremembering, but to me, these 3 games, actually 4 games, I would go. Although Ghost Stories is kind of more reminds me of a Chinese ghost story, not so much a Japanese ghost story, but. At least Hanabi, Takenoko, and Tokaido tie in together.
How about Samurai?
Oh, right. I almost...
He's forgetting the most important game.
And if I remember correctly, in fact, Takenoko would tie in ghost stories, even if it is a Chinese ghost story in Remembrance, because if I recall correctly, the story of Takenoko says that the Chinese emperor is... gifting a panda to the Japanese.
You might find that out soon on a Wednesday video.
There's something...
Tina and I talk at length about that on the Draw for Initiative for Takenoko. So in a couple of weeks you will have this story.
So you spoiled...
Why the Chinese emperor gave
a
gift.
Of course. It's a Trojan panda.
We have our own theories. I'm not going to take anything away now. I'm not going to spoil, but we're talking about that at length in the Draw for Initiative video for Takenoko.
It's like, oh, he looks so innocent, he's so cute, and no.
You saw Tina's painting for Takenoko, so you know what her story was.
I have my own opinions on this panda in particular, so...
Anyway... Speaking of Draw for Initiative, shall we tease the next one, or
yes,
do you
please?
Do you have anything else to add for funny stories and experiences?
No, not really. I have to say this is all together. Every time we now play this, it's a really just pleasant experience. Which is some games evoke, at least for me, that mindset of competitiveness, or that you're trying to find the strat to win this, or you really enjoy the social interaction with other players, like in Resistance stuff, or Sheriff of Nottingham, and that. And this is just I don't want to say comfort food levels, but it's just
kind of it is.
It is very pleasant.
Enjoyable.
It's that's the kind of word that I can only to describe.
Like I said, it's not as aggressive, though. You really are tactical and strategical, and of course want to win. It's a competitive game, but
not aggressive at all. It's
that aggressive as it is with other games. There's no I hate you at the table.
Smothering of
it's
other
more
players.
like, I can go there well, and then I'm going to do this. And you always get victory points out of it. So
other games in a similar collection, or I wouldn't call this action selection, because you could go so far and probably really rework that, but it feels at times in regards to I took my spot, I wanted to do that action. That's
but then I do that and I get a decent amount of victory points.
It's but still, this is the game where it's like you did, but the other is looking nice too. So I'm content. I will now go with
sushi. Now I'm really getting hungry for sushi, that I'm saying sushi, and it's...
Maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Anyway, we wanted to tease for Drop for Initiative.
Please give me a hint.
The video coming up. Drop the hint. It's about space. Yes, exactly, dear little figurine. You figured it out. Could you translate?
So, space. We had a lot of... You already did a couple of space games, so... It's probably not Roll for the Galaxy.
No.
It's...
You know what's funny? I'm now kind of anxious that hoping that I remember correctly which game I did schedule for Wednesday.
Threw you off, huh?
I think we're at that point, but you know, Dina and I, we work a month ahead at least. So there's like 4 or 5 paintings that we did already, and God, what did I schedule? But it should be that game. If it's not space, I'm so sorry for misleading you. But I'm going with the space theme here, thinking that it is a game.
Is it
with space?
Is it about crews being deployed on spaces like stations?
Yes.
And ships and planets?
Yes.
Is it about an overwhelming force they have to fight through to get to their objectives? Is it about not suffocating?
Yeah.
And is it about building things?
Sometimes. Yes.
So it's that Star Trek game.
Yeah, Star Trek Catan, right.
Yes. Yes.
I really hope that I scheduled the right video. This is horrible. I'm so not.
So next week, enjoy Draw for Initiative Takenoko with Space Panda.
No, it's not, because I haven't done the photos for that yet. This is not even uploaded yet.
Of course.
But it will come up.
How could I have missed that?
Yeah, how could you? I tell you all the tiny details that I do in my studio.
I'm very terribly disappointed. This marriage works because both of us don't listen to the other on a regular basis.
I didn't tell you.
See? I didn't even listen to it.
Ooh, sorry. I bumped you.
You spilled my coffee. Thank you.
I clean,
It's
don't!
time to say goodbye.
Bye, everybody. See you next Sunday. Until then, do all the good YouTube stuff. Like, share, subscribe, and check out Wednesday, if I was correct with my assumption that we have a certain game on Draw for Initiative.